In the quiet hours before dawn, when most of the world still sleeps, the mind is at its sharpest. It's in these moments that a person can decide who they want to become. Napoleon Hill once wrote that self-discipline is the master key to success, the bridge between desire and achievement. But few truly understand how to build it. They chase motivation, waiting for the perfect moment to act, never realizing that the moment they act is what creates motivation. Self-discipline begins not with action, but with awareness. The awareness that your life, your results, and your emotions are shaped by your thoughts. Hill believed that the human mind is both a garden and a battlefield. You can plant seeds of focus, purpose, and patience, or allow weeds of doubt, laziness, and fear to take root. The disciplined mind learns to guard that garden. It does not wait for comfort. It works even when comfort is nowhere to be found. James, a young man in his late 20s, learned this the hard way. He had big dreams, starting his own business, improving his health, learning to speak with confidence, but he always found excuses. "I'll start when I feel ready," he told himself. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and every time he looked in the mirror, he saw the same person staring back, full of potential but empty of results. One morning, he came across a book that changed everything, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He read the words slowly. Self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. If you do not control your thoughts, you cannot control your needs. That line struck him like thunder. He realized he'd been waiting for motivation instead of creating it. He'd been controlled by his moods, his distractions, and his fears. So he made a promise to himself. For 30 days, he would live by the mindset method. The first step was clarity of purpose. Hill said, "The starting point of all achievement is desire." James wrote down what he truly wanted, not what others expected of him, but what stirred his heart. He wanted freedom. The freedom to work for himself, the freedom to be fit and confident, the freedom to live a life of purpose. He set specific goals: wake up at 5 a.m., exercise for 1 hour, read for 30 minutes, and spend 3 focused hours on his business idea before touching his phone. The second step was emotional control. Discipline isn't just about what you do, it's about how you react. The undisciplined mind reacts instantly, angry when insulted, discouraged when failing, lazy when tired. The disciplined mind pauses, breathes, and chooses its response. On the 4th day, James woke up late, missed his workout, and felt the old frustration rise within him. But this time, he didn't give in. He remembered Hill's words. "You have absolute control over only one thing, and that is your thoughts." He said aloud, "I will not let one bad morning destroy my purpose." And he didn't. He went on with his day, learning that the power of self-discipline lies not in perfection, but in persistence. The third step was habit building. Hill compared the mind to a muscle. It grows stronger with use. Every disciplined act, no matter how small, builds momentum. James stopped thinking in grand gestures. Instead of saying, "I'll change my whole life today," he focused on small victories: finishing a workout, writing 1 page of his business plan, saying no to distractions. Each small success gave him a sense of control, a quiet pride that replaced the need for constant motivation. After 2 weeks, he noticed something profound. The things that once felt impossible were now automatic. The resistance that used to scream in his mind began to fade. Hill's principle of autosuggestion started to take effect, feeding the subconscious mind with positive commands. Every morning, James stood before the mirror and repeated his affirmations: "I am disciplined. I am focused. I control my thoughts and actions." It felt awkward at first, but over time, his mind began to believe it. By the 3rd week, challenges appeared to test his commitment. A friend invited him to stay out late. He felt tempted to break his early morning rule. But he paused and remembered why he started. Hill often said that temporary pleasure is the enemy of long-term success. James chose to stay disciplined. That night, as he sat quietly reading, he realized that saying no to what weakens you is one of the greatest acts of self-love. The mindset method was not about punishing himself, but about training his mind to serve him, not enslave him. The undisciplined person lives as a victim of impulses, scrolling, procrastinating, giving up when it's inconvenient. The disciplined person becomes the architect of his own reality. By day 20, James began to notice changes not just in his habits, but in his thinking. His self-talk was sharper, cleaner, and kinder. He no longer said, "I can't." He said, "How can I?" His emotions no longer ruled him, his purpose did. He was learning what Hill meant by organized thinking. Every thought became a tool, every action a brick in the foundation of his new life. But on the 25th day, disaster struck. His small business project failed, an investor backed out, and his savings ran low. Old habits whispered, "You see, you're not meant for this. Give up." But another voice rose from within, the voice he had been cultivating through discipline. "Failure is not defeat," it said. It's feedback. Hill's principle echoed again. Every adversity brings with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. James took a day to reflect, not to pity himself but to learn. He found the weak points in his plan, fixed them, and began again. This moment became the true test of self-discipline. Anyone can follow a routine when life is smooth, but discipline reveals its strength in the storm. The mind that is trained to remain steady under pressure is the mind that wins. When the 30th day arrived, James looked back on his journey. He hadn't become a millionaire. He hadn't built an empire. But he had become something far more powerful. A man who kept his word to himself. The seed of discipline had taken root. He realized that true success isn't about wealth or applause, it's about self-respect. The quiet knowing that you control your destiny, because you control your mind. Months passed. James's business began to grow, not through luck but through consistency. He woke up early without struggle. He worked even when uninspired. He stayed calm under pressure. The discipline he built became part of his identity. He finally understood that the mindset method was not a one-time challenge but a lifelong practice. Napoleon Hill's philosophy lived within him. That thoughts become things, and discipline is the force that brings those thoughts into form. He began teaching others what he learned. Discipline, he told them, isn't about working harder, it's about thinking clearer. It's choosing purpose over pleasure, action over excuses, and persistence over emotion. People asked him how he stayed so consistent. He smiled and said, "I don't rely on motivation. I rely on my word." Every morning, James still repeats the same affirmations that built his new life. "I am disciplined. I am focused. I act with purpose." Those words are no longer mere statements, they are his truth. And that is the essence of Napoleon Hill's mindset method. Control your thoughts, and your thoughts will control your world. Self-discipline is not born from strength, it is forged through struggle. It's the decision to act when you don't feel like it, to believe when there's no evidence, and to persist when failure whispers that you should quit. Every great success story, from inventors to leaders, carries this common thread. The unbreakable power of a disciplined mind. James often walks outside before sunrise, watching the sky shift from darkness to light. It reminds him of his own journey. Discipline, he thinks, is like the dawn. It starts quietly, almost unnoticed, but it changes everything it touches. He no longer searches for the perfect time to act. He knows the time is always now. He no longer waits for inspiration. He knows that action brings it. He no longer fears failure. He knows it's part of the process. In mastering himself, he has mastered life. As Napoleon Hill once said, Self-discipline is the connecting link between your desires and their physical counterpart. It is the invisible force that turns dreams into destiny. The truth is simple but profound. Success is not a secret, nor is it a miracle. It is a mindset, a daily decision to keep walking when others stop, to keep believing when others doubt, and to keep building when no one is watching. That is how you build self-discipline. That is how you build a life